This is Dane Parcel, and this is my case study submission for EDL 853, titled, When a Student's Rights Are Wronged. So to begin the case study, I want to provide you a little bit of background information on the school that's involved in this case. The school is Nottingham High School. There's a student population of about 3,200 students, and as a result of such a large group of students, the school has to utilize relocatable trailers within their school system. About 3/4 of those trailers are up to par in regards to state and federal standards according to accommodating individuals with disabilities. However, a fourth of them, due to funding issues, are not up to code. The community of Nottingham High School is very supportive of the school because of their high academic success as well as their athletics team. And it is led by Dr. Harvey, the district superintendent of school district. As we examine the case a little bit more in detail, the student involved in this case, his name is Miguel Hernandez. He is a talented sophomore for Nottingham High School, and he was unfortunately injured in a football game that left him paralyzed from the waist down and unable to walk. As a result, Miguel is now a student that needs to use a wheelchair to help him maneuver the environment. Prior to coming back to school, after he had gone through all the physical therapy and stuff, Miguel's parents met with Miss Guzman, the high school counselor, to discuss his needs. And in that meeting, Miss Guzman requested from the parents a physician's medical release. And then the parents notified Miss Guzman that Miguel would be using a wheelchair and would need wheelchair access to all his classrooms. But other than access, his parents really felt like there really weren't any other additional accommodations that needed to be made at that time. So 2 weeks go by after this meeting, and Miguel comes back to school. Miguel does have that medical release that's requested. He comes back to school, and he begins and starts to attend his first hour class. However, that teacher sends him to Miss Guzman. Miss Guzman tells Miguel that he's being taken out of the biology class that he's currently in because that class does not have wheelchair access. And instead of being in biology class, Miguel is going to take another science course that will help meet his graduation requirements. So Miguel takes that information back home, and the next day, Miguel's mom calls me, the principal, and requests a meeting with me. And of course, I go ahead and schedule that for later that afternoon, simply because my secretary lets me know that this seems to be an important case. During that meeting, Miguel's mom does question the decision that the school made to deny her son the ability to take biology. She was also frustrated and questioned why the school did not notify her or her husband that Miguel's schedule was going to change, and really stressed the fact that Miguel really needs to take biology because he wants to go on to college, and biology is one of those required courses that the college is asking for. In the middle of the meeting then, Mr. Hernandez shows up with Howard Carey. Howard Carey is the lawyer for the Hernandez family, and he questions me as the principal for denying Miguel's rights under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and with regards to a free appropriate public education, or FAPE. So that is kind of where the case study takes off from here. What happens next? As I begin to develop my plan of action and my decisions, there are a couple legal or ethical issues to take into consideration. The first two are obviously that were identified by the attorney for the Hernandez family. So the first one is the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. This civil rights law prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in programs and activities, such as those provided by a public school. And in this case, Miguel is being discriminated against because the school doesn't have wheelchair accessibility to the biology classroom. So instead of making accommodations, they just want to change the schedule. And then free appropriate public education. This legal issue is being brought in as an influence to this case because Miguel's appropriate and education components of FAPE are at jeopardy because the school has changed his schedule for what is best for the school and not as what is best for Miguel. A couple of additional legal or ethical issues that I believe come into influence with this case is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and very similar to the 504, Miguel's being discriminated against because he's being kept from entering the biology classroom. I also listed the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, and I put this in here not necessarily as a legal issue that is influencing the case immediately, but I just wonder what other needs Miguel will need. Will an IEP need to occur later on down the road? He doesn't currently have any evaluations done on him, so he doesn't have an IEP. So this is not necessarily the best for this case, but I think it's still good for the principal to keep in their toolbox to help influence decisions. So my Section 2 synthesis sentence is, the student rights of Miguel Hernandez are in jeopardy of being violated as a result of the actions of Nottingham High School not providing wheelchair accessibility for Miguel to be able to participate in the general education curriculum under legal requirements described in Section 504 in FAPE. In Section 3, I need to synthesize some of the facts, and that includes people, place, and program. In the people, some of the things that I know is all the individuals that are involved include Miguel Hernandez, the football player, who does need a wheelchair, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, Miguel's parents, Ms. Guzman, the school counselor, who is involved in the change of the schedule, myself, Mr. Parcel, as the principal, who's meeting with the parents to help this situation, Dr. Harvey, the superintendent, Howard Carey, the attorney, and then community members and teachers. Both of these stakeholders are supportive to the school and the community, and so they need to be taken into consideration as well. Some things that are unknown in regards to people is what is the biology teacher's opinion about this situation? How supportive are Miguel's classmates? Does Miguel need any social or emotional skills after the accident? How are they? Does he need some support in that area? Are there other students that need accessibility in the school? Are the parents and the attorney willing to allow me to investigate the issue? As I synthesize the place facts, again, Nottingham High School is identified as an outstanding high school. It is the central hub city of Dover. They service 3,200 students. They do have limited funding right now. A fourth of their buildings are not wheelchair accessible, but they do have a supportive community, academic, and athletics. Some unknowns are there any open classrooms with wheelchair accessibility? Can another teacher move classrooms? What's the cost to make the building accessible? And what funding is available? Synthesizing the program. Nottingham High School does provide a quality educational program. All courses except biology are accessible for Miguel. And as a result, he is currently being given a replacement science course to meet the graduation requirements. But Miguel's not happy with that decision due to the fact that he wants biology because it meets the college requirements that he wants to attend. So some unknowns in regards to programs is, does Miguel have a 504 plan in place? Can individual study be done, or is it of interest? Do I know the decision that was made by Ms. Guzman prior to meeting with the parents and them calling to share their disagreement? And since he is a sophomore, what future decisions need to be made to meet Miguel's needs? So what will need to occur as a junior and senior in high school? And could he even take biology another year while the school makes that classroom accessible? So Section 4, as I review and prioritize, I take a look at all the different stakeholders in the case and which ones have an immediate stake. And I think that there's a lot of stakeholders that really have a factor in this case. Miguel, because it's damaging to him because his rights and wishes are not being taken into consideration. This case is also potentially damaging to the parents because they have a son who has his rights are not being met, and they wanted to come to Nottingham for their academics and athletics, and now that there's discrepancies between the two, they have a stake in the matter. Myself as the principal, this can be damaging to me if I don't handle it seriously or correctly. Keeping the student's best interest in mind, I need to investigate the issue and really understand all cases. It can be damaging to the school itself. The culture and the stakeholder support can diminish and be lessened if the decisions are not done properly. The students can be harmed in this situation because they may view the school differently if their friends' needs are not met. Ms. Guzman could be damaged because her position as a counselor could be taken into consideration, and her decisions may be the cause of the damage. The community, as I mentioned a bit earlier, the support for the school may change if the community finds out that the students' needs are not being met. And then Dr. Harvey, he needs to be aware of the situation so that he can provide support and also contact the school's attorney. So some of the options that I can continue to do with this case. So number one, I cannot take any action and support Ms. Guzman's decision. Number two, change the location where the biology class meets. Number three, offer Miguel the option to take biology as an independent study. Number four, begin construction to make the classroom accessible for Miguel. And number five, investigate options for Miguel to take biology through distance education. So some pros and cons of each of those. By not taking any action, a pro would be I would support my teacher, support Ms. Guzman. My con would be I would have an upset family, litigation, and then my school culture will probably take a hit. Number two, a pro for changing the location would be Miguel will receive biology, and a con would be biology teacher will have to change classrooms and modify lesson plans, but also other student schedules will be affected. Number three, by offering Miguel the option to take biology as independent study, a pro would be he's again going to get biology. A con would be Miguel loses the interactions with his peers. Beginning construction to make the classroom accessible, a pro would be Miguel will eventually receive biology because the classroom would become eventually successful, so maybe he could take it as a junior or senior. A con would be it would be a cost to the district, and what does Miguel do in the meantime? Investigate the options for Miguel to take biology through distance education. The pro for that would be Miguel would receive biology. A con would be, again, it would be an additional cost to the district because they would most likely have to pay services, and he's going to lose direct time with his peers. So the best decision that I have kind of come up with is to move the biology course to another part of the Nottingham High School campus. The decision can be made by collaborating with the biology teacher as well as any other teachers that may need to be affected if there's not an open classroom. I will need to talk to Dr. Harvey and get his support in the matter and make sure that he's involved in the process. And then Miguel and his parents will be invited back to the school to discuss the situation and change back to his previous schedule. In Section 8, as I implement the plan, my step one is to listen attentively to Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez and the attorney, and then I'll ask them to allow me time to investigate the situation and get back to them with a reasonable time frame. Step two, discuss the situation with Ms. Guzman, gaining any additional information, but also clarifying that she needs to know that this decision should not have been made without me knowing. Step three, brainstorm ideas for the solution for this plan. Step four is to talk to the biology teacher to determine what steps are necessary to make the move. And if I need to talk to another teacher because there's no open classrooms, I need to make that happen. Let the teachers know that it's going to cause some troubles at first, but it's going to be the best for what's best for Miguel. And step five, talk to Dr. Harvey about the situation. Step six, talk to Ms. Guzman and ask her to go ahead and change the schedule back and recruit additional help from the teacher. Step seven, I want to investigate the option of an individual study in case Plan A does not work. Step 8, invite the Hernandez family back to the school. Step 9, ensure Miguel is comfortable with his new classroom. And step 10, work with Dr. Harvey to create long-term plans to make the other rooms accessible. My program standards are highlighted in yellow, and that concludes my case study. Thank you.